He was a revolution. Bob Marley rose from the hills of Jamaica to become a global prophet of peace, rebellion, and rhythm. His voice wasn't just heard, it was felt. Through war zones and stadiums, in smoke-filled gatherings and presidential suites, Marley's music became a force of nature. But behind the legendary smile and iconic dreadlocks lies a story of struggle, political tension, betrayal, and an untimely death that still sparks questions today. This isn't just the tale of a reggae star. It's the life of a man who shook the world without ever raising his fist. This is Bob Marley. Bob Marley was born Robert Nesta Marley on February 6, 1945 in the rural village of 9 Mile, Jamaica. His father, Norval Marley, was a white British naval officer in his 60s. His mother, Sedella, was an 18-year-old black Jamaican girl from the countryside. This complicated family dynamic shaped Bob's early identity, too black to be accepted as white, too mixed to fully belong in black Jamaican society. That outsider status, even as a child, ignited something powerful in him. The desire roads, barefoot days, and the raw spirit of Rastafarian culture surrounded him. But he wasn't just absorbing, he was learning. From the rhythms of the streets to the gospel sounds echoing through the hills, young Marley was taking it all in. By his teens, he had moved to Kingston's Trenchtown, one of the roughest neighborhoods in Jamaica. But it was there, among violence and poverty, that Bob's genius found its spark. And soon, he'd start turning those street sounds into songs the world couldn't ignore. But Marley's path to greatness wasn't solo. Before the fame, there were brothers in rhythm, and a band that would change music forever. In the early 1960s, Marley joined forces with two other Trenchtown legends, Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer. Together, they formed the Wailers, and they didn't just make music, they made noise. Real, raw, and rooted in rebellion. Their early sound was ska, fast, bouncy, and full of attitude. But as the years passed, their rhythm slowed, their message sharpened. The Wailers weren't just entertaining, they were awakening people. Songs like Simmer Down hit local charts, calling for peace in Jamaica's street wars. But Bob wanted more than local radio. He wanted the world. That chance came when Island Records founder Chris Blackwell, a British-Jamaican music mogul, took a gamble. He saw the band not as just another reggae act, but as a rock band with a message. He gave them a global platform. In 1973, the album Catch a Fire was released. For many, it was the first time reggae sounded polished enough to stand next to rock, without losing its soul. But fame brings pressure, and not everyone could handle it. The Wailers were unstoppable until they weren't. Fame split the band. But Marley? He was just getting started. By the mid-1970s, the Wailers had fractured. Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer went their own way, but Bob? He became the face of a movement. With a new lineup of backing musicians now known as Bob Marley and the Wailers, he dropped hits like No Woman, No Cry, Exodus, and One Love. These weren't just songs. They were spiritual, political, and prophetic. Jamaica at the time was in chaos, gang violence, political warfare, and fear gripped the streets. Marley wasn't just watching it happen. He stepped into the fire. In 1976, just 2 days before he was set to perform at a peace concert, gunmen stormed Bob's home and shot him. Miraculously, he survived, and 2 days later, he still took the stage. When asked why, he said, "The people who are trying to make this world worse aren't taking a day off. How can I?" His bravery turned him into more than a singer. He became a symbol. A man who used rhythm and rebellion as tools for unity. But Marley's journey wasn't just political. Behind the music and the message was a life filled with love, loss, and complications. Let's take a look behind the curtain. Bob Marley may have preached unity, but his personal life? It was anything but simple. He married Rita Marley in 1966, a woman who was more than just a wife. She was a singer, a fellow Rastafarian, and one of his fiercest protectors. But Marley's relationships didn't stop there. Over the years, he fathered 11 children with multiple women, including singers, models, and even a former Miss World. Some saw it as free-spirited. Others called it selfish. But for Marley, love was universal, not confined by social norms. He once said, "The greatness of a man is not in how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively." And his children? Many followed in his footsteps. Ziggy, Damian, and Stephen Marley became Grammy-winning artists. The Marley name lives on in music, fashion, activism, and culture. But fame and family didn't protect Bob from criticism. Some called him a womanizer. Others said he was naive for mixing politics with art. Still, Marley remained unapologetic, living by his own code, regardless of who approved. But behind the music and the mystique, something darker was brewing. A silent battle that not even reggae's king could outrun. In 1977, at the height of his fame, Bob noticed something strange. A wound on his toe from a football match wasn't healing. Doctors diagnosed it as melanoma, a rare and aggressive form of skin cancer. But here's where it gets complicated. Bob refused to amputate his toe, citing his Rastafarian beliefs, which teach that the body is a temple. Instead, he sought alternative treatments and continued to tour the world, hiding the severity of his illness. As his health quietly declined, fans had no idea he was battling something deadly. He performed like a man on fire. In one of his final shows in Pittsburgh, he collapsed backstage after giving everything to the crowd. The world didn't know it yet, but that was his last live performance. In a desperate move, Marley flew to Germany for alternative treatment at a controversial clinic. Some believed it offered hope. Others said he was being used. By May 1981, Bob Marley was gone, dead at just 36 years old. His final words, spoken to his son Ziggy, were haunting. Money can't buy life. But the mysteries didn't end there. Over the years, conspiracy theories emerged. Some claimed he was targeted because of his political influence. Others believe he knew more than he let on and paid the price. What we do know is this: the world lost more than a musician. It lost a prophet, a poet, and a rebel with a cause. And yet, Marley's death wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning of something even bigger. Bob Marley may have died young, but his voice never went silent. Decades after his passing, his songs still echo from Kingston to Tokyo, Johannesburg to London. His messages of unity, rebellion, love, and liberation feel more relevant now than ever. Artists like Lauryn Hill, Rihanna, Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar, and Damian Marley all credit him as a spiritual and musical guide. Even pop stars who never met him feel his influence, whether in a beat, a lyric, or a philosophy. And then there's the merchandise: posters, shirts, flags, coffee, cannabis brands, all stamped with Marley's face. It's not just a legacy, it's an empire. The Marley estate earns millions each year, placing him consistently among the highest-earning deceased celebrities. Statues of him stand across the globe. His former home in Kingston is now the Bob Marley Museum, a shrine for fans and pilgrims alike. His song One Love was named the Song of the Millennium by the BBC. That's no accident. But Marley's real legacy isn't money. It's not fame. It's the way he made people feel. The way he gave voice to the voiceless, spoke truth to power, and turned pain into poetry. He didn't just sing reggae. He redefined it, turned it into a global language for resistance, joy, and love. So when you hear that familiar strum and that legendary voice, remember, you're not just listening to music, you're hearing the heartbeat of a movement. If Bob Marley's music ever helped you through a tough time, lifted your spirits, or opened your mind, drop a red heart in the comments and subscribe for more untold stories like this one. Bob Marley's death in 1981 shocked the world and left behind more questions than answers. The official story says he died from a rare form of melanoma that started under his toenail. But for many fans and theorists, that explanation doesn't sit right. Why? Because Marley was at the height of his influence. He had united Jamaican political rivals, survived an assassination attempt, and was spreading revolutionary ideas globally. Some say he was becoming too powerful, too unifying, and that made him a threat. There are whispers of CIA involvement, government surveillance, and even claims that he was poisoned, all of which remain unproven. One of the most famous stories: a mysterious gift of boots that allegedly had a radioactive wire embedded inside, something Marley put on just before the cancer was discovered. Too strange to ignore. Too vague to confirm. Others point to the way he refused to amputate his toe when doctors urged him to. Marley believed deeply in Rastafarian principles, which reject the idea of cutting the body. To him, healing had to be spiritual as well as physical, and then there's the question of his will or the lack of one. Marley died without leaving clear instructions for his estate, leading to legal battles that lasted for decades. His family fought over royalties, rights, and control of the Marley name. But perhaps the biggest mystery of all is how one man could come from such humble beginnings and leave behind a legacy this big. A cultural titan whose music continues to move people generations later. Bob Marley didn't just make songs. He created anthems for rebellion, peace, and freedom. And whether his death was natural or something darker, one thing is certain: his voice was never silenced. Bob Marley's influence stretches far beyond music. He's a global cultural icon whose image and message have been woven into the fabric of popular culture. His distinctive dreadlocks, colorful Rasta colors, and charismatic smile are instantly recognizable worldwide. Appearing in everything from fashion runways to street art, Marley's songs have been sampled, covered, and celebrated across genres: hip-hop, rock, pop, even electronic dance music. Artists like the Fugees, Sublime, Lauryn Hill, and Bruno Mars have all drawn inspiration from his sound and spirit. His anthem, One Love, was famously performed at the Live Aid concert in 1985. A defining moment in music history that raised millions for famine relief. On social media platforms, Marley's legacy thrives through memes, viral TikTok videos, and global online tributes, introducing him to younger generations who never saw him live. Marley's message of unity, resistance, and love resonates in protests, films, commercials, and even video games, proving that his impact is as much cultural as it is musical. He's not just a legend of reggae, he's a symbol of peace and resistance worldwide. And as his music continues to inspire millions, the question remains: what does the future hold for Marley's legacy? Even a legend like Bob Marley isn't without his share of controversy and unanswered questions. There have been rumors about political ties and alleged involvement with Jamaica's complex and sometimes violent political scene in the 1970s. Some say Marley's music was used as a tool by rival factions, fueling tensions even as he preached peace. There's also speculation about his personal life. Bob Marley reportedly had multiple relationships and fathered several children. Estimates range around 11 to 13, sparking debates about his family dynamics and how the Marley estate is managed today. Rumors have circulated about hidden recordings and unreleased tracks, with fans wondering what lost gems might still be out there. And in the digital age, some reports claim secret collaborations or feuds with other artists. Though many of these remain unconfirmed or exaggerated, it's important to remember, these stories are mostly rumors and fan theories. None have been definitively proven, but they add layers to the mystique of one of music's most enigmatic figures. Despite these shadows, Bob Marley's light shines brighter than ever, carrying on through his music and the global movement he inspired. Decades after his passing, Bob Marley's legacy is stronger than ever. His music continues to top streaming charts, reaching millions every day, proving that timeless messages of love and resistance never fade. The Marley family remains active in preserving his heritage. His children, like Ziggy Marley and Damian Marley, have become influential artists in their own right, carrying the torch forward with fresh sounds and activism. The Bob Marley Museum in Kingston welcomes thousands of visitors yearly, a pilgrimage site for fans who want to connect with the man behind the legend. Marley's image and songs are licensed globally, from documentaries and biopics to commercials and fashion lines, showing that his cultural footprint is as wide as ever. Even beyond music, Marley's philosophy influences activists, athletes, and creatives, inspiring movements for social justice and peace worldwide. Simply put, Bob Marley isn't just a figure from the past, he's a living, breathing symbol of hope and unity for future generations. Bob Marley's story isn't just about music, it's about a voice that challenged oppression, a spirit that united people, and a legacy that refuses to fade. From humble beginnings in Jamaica to becoming a global icon, Marley showed us the power of standing up for what you believe in, using art to spark change. His songs still resonate because they speak to universal truths: love, freedom, and resilience. As you listen to his music, remember, it's more than just sound. It's a movement, a message, a revolution. If there's one thing Bob Marley teaches us, it's this: no matter where you come from, your voice can change the world. If Bob Marley's story inspired you, drop a herb in the comments, share your favorite song, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into music legends.